Good morning to everyone, and what a lovely day it is. Yes, I know it's a little chilly. I don't know about there where you are, and I know the day hasn't started yet, but it's going to be a good one. Thank you so much for dialing in. I hope to make it worth your while with today's topic on new customers. My name's Linda Botts, and I'm a business doctor. I'm here to help you grow your business. Remember that you can contact me if you would like me to have a look at your business and what it needs to grow. My contact details are at the end of this presentation. But like always, let's kick this off with a story. Compliments from healthscout.com. Okay, and there we go. True story. All the way from Ohio, United States. There is an auto shop there in Streetsboro called Jimmy's Automotive. And on one occasion, the owner, Jim Shakis, decided to write a thank you note to one of his new customers after servicing his car. It was nothing fancy, just a note saying, thank you. Oh, wait, guys, so sorry. Let me just, why is this not working? Okay. So the note is saying, thank you for giving us a chance to work on your car. I truly appreciate your business, and I hope you were satisfied with the level of service we provided. Please don't hesitate to call on us. Sincerely, Jim Shakis. The customer was very impressed. So he decided to share the note on a social media platform called Reddit, and he titled it, I have never in my life seen this level of customer service. The best part of the story is that despite the fact that Jim's thank you note made it to the internet for all to see, people started commenting on the post, pointing out that they know exactly which business this was. One guy said, I used to live in Streetsboro, and I know exactly who that is. He's a good man, stay with him. A non-customer commented saying, it's little things like this that earn business. If I got this card, I would never use another mechanic in my life. Now, you see, a business is not a business if there's no clients or customers. You will always have to keep on developing your customer base. Now, today, we're talking about taking your existing products and services to a new market and a new customer. But in essence, there are two types or groupings of customers that you need to service on a daily basis. The topic of customers, how to find them, how to keep them, that's huge. And we will have to talk about and get into the detail of existing customers on another occasion. But let's talk about the basics of finding new customers or landing the new market. Let me explain the difference between a client and a customer and a market. A customer buys products and services like a commodity from a company. Checkers, Spar, now they have customers. Clients buy professional services from a business. The market in this context is not the place where you buy your fruit and veg. It's a group name for a demographic collection, a specific type of client and or customer. But for the sake of this presentation, let's assume clients and customers are one and the same thing. Okay, let's get to the basics. I wanted to give you something practical, some practical tips on where to find them, but then I realized in most instances, it has got to do with where you are. You need to be present on social media, in your local networks, and on the internet. None of these should cost you a lot of money, though. In fact, being present shouldn't cost you a cent. It's what you do there that will start costing you money. If you have not set up a Facebook page for your business, then you need to consider that. It can be done on your phone very easily. Setting up a website might cost you money. And if that is an issue, put that item on your wish list for now. Joining your local network might cost you a little time to find them, and then a phone call to find out when they meet. Oh, that's right. Sorry, it's my bad. You will have to drive there to meet them in person. That could potentially cost you money. Anyway, there is a lot more ways you can find customers. For instance, put an ad in the local newspaper or do an interview on the local radio station. But these are not easy to get it right, and you need professional help with it, and it can be rather expensive. My thinking rather is that we should go with a less expensive option for now. Besides, the newspaper readers have all turned to the internet for news nowadays, and there's other ways of getting on the internet than buying a spot with an online newspaper. So let's start a conversation on social media. Ask a question or make a statement that people can respond to. Combine that with maybe an event that you went to or plan on going to, obviously in your professional capacity, and keep the topic based on your industry, your products, or your services. Remember, there is an algorithm to these things. That means your timing must be right. When you post on Facebook, try to do it between 8 and 12 in the morning on a Tuesday and a Thursday. If you post to Instagram, try and do that on a Wednesday, 11 in the morning. And if Twitter is your thing, do your posting 8 in the morning on Mondays and Thursdays. Now, please note, these optimal times are based on customers' habits and the algorithms of these platforms. Engage in social listening. Visit the pages of other businesses and maybe your customers or prospecting customers and leave a comment on their posts. Or simply pay attention to what people are saying. When you get feedback or queries on social media, always respond in a positive manner. Only your professional opinion is relevant. Your good manners, on the other hand, now that will take you far and beyond. Here's a few tips on how to respond to a client's feedback. Thank the client for a positive review. Be specific and genuine and keep it short and sweet. Use your business name and keywords in the response. By doing that, you stay true to where the message is coming from. Add a little marketing to the review response. Use all opportunity to market your product or service. You can maybe suggest a supplementary product or a service you can offer for a special price. Invite the client to do something with your response. Tell them they can share it on social media network if they so feel like it. Sharing your customers' feedback on your website or social media page can give potential clients somewhat of a comfort in knowing how other clients experience your products and service. I would not suggest that you fake customer feedback or twist or change the wording of the feedback. These types of things can come back and bite you when you least expect it. One of the best ways of finding new clients, or should I say they find you, is word of mouth. Having a loyal customer is probably the best scenario any business can ask for. And you know what? You should ask for it. Treat your clients in a way that they actually want to share you with their friends and family. Sometimes you have to physically ask for referrals or ask for the connection to be made. I asked a good friend from my local networking group to do a good word for me and to connect me with 2 other network members that I have not dealt with before. There's no shame in asking. Richard Branson tells a story in his book, Screw It, Let's Do It, of an old saying. If you want milk, don't sit on a stool in the middle of the field in the hope that the cow will back up to you. Go and catch the cow. He also tells a story of a very old rabbit pie recipe. Step 1 is, wait for it, catch the rabbit. I'm laughing inside because if there's one thing I hate more than washing dishes, It is making a phone call to someone I don't know. But if there's one thing I know that will take my business forward, it is to make a phone call to someone I don't know. Put your suspenders on, take a deep breath, and push the green button. Everything in life takes 20 seconds of courage. Just do it. Now, engage in your customers. This part of the topic, I'm guessing, I'm preaching to the converted. I am totally convinced of the fact that you know exactly how to engage with your new client. But for the sake of the guy next to you, I'll run through this briefly. Be the qualified plumber. I've had a very interesting discussion with an industry expert a while back, and he gave me some very interesting facts. In the previous demographic stats of 2015, 250,000 people said that they work as plumbers in South Africa. At the very most, only 15,000 of them were actually qualified at that stage. And only 7,500 of those qualified plumbers are registered members of PIRB. You, my friend, make up a mere 3% of the real plumbers of this country. The fact that you are qualified and registered means that you firstly know what you're talking about when you talk about plumbing. And secondly, you are legally entitled to talk about plumbing in this country. You are in a different league. Now you chew on this a little and let it sink in. And then you go and be that qualified registered plumber. Think customer instead of technical. Your client might need you to explain the plumbing issue in layman's language so they too can understand what is the problem. But then they need you to give them expert advice. It is never about you. It is about your client's needs. Now, if the shirt is finished or the pants are torn, please get new ones. We know you guys are working with poo daily. I'm using the nice word you heard. There is no need to look the part. Okay, sorry. That was said a little tongue-in-cheek. But it's extremely important that you look presentable and approachable. Smile, look the client in the eye. It shows that you are confident and capable to do the job. And you should train your team to do the same. Even if you're trying to portray a personal brand or not, you are. Whatever you say on social media or on the sports field or in the church, people see you, they notice you, and someone is paying attention. However, and whatever your wingman or your appy or your front desk personnel says on social media, it will spill over to your business and your brand. Social media platforms are dangerous places. Now, we spoke about finding and engaging with new clients or prospects, but keeping that client is the ultimate goal, right? So let's look at practical steps, how you can take that and rev up your chances of keeping that new client. When you contact the customer, try to get on their terms and level, meaning if your client prefers that you call them, don't text them. If they ask you to email the quote, then do it properly and professionally. Check your spelling. Remember that it is not about you, but it is about the need of the client. Stay in touch with your client. A good idea is to load your client on a client database or a list where there is dates and times and jobs done and addresses and whatever other information that you can refer back. So for you, when you communicate with your client, you can refer back to the job. Or maybe you don't have to ask for the email address or home address again. A good idea is to get their birth dates so you can wish them well on their special day. It's a good way of staying in touch. Maybe you want to send out a monthly newsletter to your clients, giving them interesting news on new technology. But just remember, when you start this, you have to keep doing it, and it must be valuable. There are ways of doing it with autoresponders, and you can do it very successfully. Connect with them on social media. If they are business owners themselves, share their business-related posts with your network and connections. They will notice your loyalty and remember you next time they need a plumbing expert. You can also ask your clients for feedback after a job is done. Remember to get their permission to share their feedback on social media and on your website. Pay attention to their needs when you do a job at their premises. Don't go sneaking around and fish for info. Just be observant and open-minded. There might be an opportunity to upsell or cross-sell. You were busy with a new installation, but you realized that they need maintenance on the current installation or something like that. Sharing advice and info on new products and technology on the market will show that you are aware of new trends and that you are staying on top of things. Sharing it is called thought leadership. You are in a different league, my friend. You need to play like the big boys. Now, here's some last thoughts. Always speak the truth. Serve your customers by make them feel important. Listen to them carefully. Take their needs seriously. Keep your promises. Admit and fix mistakes quickly. Work hard to earn their trust and confidence. These are rather simple and obvious things, but we don't always remember it when we are standing in front of the client. So, the best way of remembering to do these things is to actually become it. These thoughts can be the values that you live and function by. There's an old sales slogan that says, it is better to have one customer 100 times than 100 customers once.
Steve, is there anything from your side you'd like to add before we end off the session?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Linda. Again, some very good wake up and face the week conversation. And I agree with you. I think in terms of, growing that business, what we do is seen. There's a action or a reaction to every action that we do. And I think it's, again, growing that business in terms of the different spheres in terms of which we can play. I know for a lot of us, new technology is rather scary, but I think it's getting out there, it's getting into the face of the clients. It's about meeting their needs, about being professional, and sometimes doing things differently. We tend to, keep doing the same thing and just wondering why nothing's changing. But, again, we need to relook at ourselves and see how we do things. I had a story similar to what you've got. Again, in terms of the business and how it's perceived by customers. I had a van going to a job. He was driving rather ridiculously, hooting and overtaking and everything else to get to the client's house. And when he arrived there, well, guess what? The guy he was hooting at and everything else was also going to the same house. It was the customer that we were going to do the service call for. So again, just in terms of the way people drive, the way that we do our actions, we are seen. And again, another one is we never know who that customer is that we're dealing with. They could be the managing director of a large corporation. They could be a body corporate in charge of body corporate. So just one service call in terms of one aspect opens up doors for the others because of your professionalism. So it's to try and treat everybody, like the first time that you've met them and go that extra mile.
Correct. Absolutely true. Oh, that's wonderful examples you're using. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, I think it's just about doing things different. As we get into, I'm in the older school type of things, and we hate technology, but yet when you sit with somebody and they've got their smartphone out and they go on and they got all of these things, there's such an opportunity to be able to grow your business, to feed into these different networks that are out there. And again, if you can't do it yourself, then get somebody that can. And then it opens up those doors. I mean, how wonderful would it be to get to 100 people by the push of a button? Try and do that as a rep in the old days of trying to go and knock on those doors. And, that was half the challenge, is getting past the secretary or the secretariat that's sitting there with the info saying, don't let anybody in here. So again, the opportunities are massive to be able to open up those doors and be proud of what we do. I mean, we just had plumbers doing Mandela Day, where around the country we've been getting involved in giving back to the communities. And all of these are things that could be shared, and somebody's going to pick it up and go, wow, look at these guys giving of themselves and their time to be able to go in there. And that relates back to the individual saying, these are people I want to work with. And that's what we need to ask. We can have all the ads in the world in terms of how great we are. The proof is in the eating. It's how we deliver that service call, how we take the call. There's nothing worse than when you phone a company and you've got to ask, are you actually there? That's the face or the voice of the company. Your service technician is the first person that they engage with. And how are their skills? How are they trained to deal with difficult people or whatever? And that is going to grow our business.
Absolutely, very true. I see Ludwig is saying, with all of my work, I always keep my work clean and tidy as possible, and my clients appreciate that really a lot. And Ludwig, thank you. Yeah, that's the way to be. You have to understand that it's always about your customer and your customer needs. And if you turn your way of thinking to how the customer would perceive it or accept you or receive you into his property, then that is when you start thinking differently about your manner, of how you look and how your team is looking. It's also important to make sure that they look presentable and approachable.
Yeah, I think that's 100%. How many times, Linda, we'll get a phone call and it used to be the client says, like, don't worry about cleaning up. And, the guys would pack up and off they go. And then, 3 days later, you're looking to get payment and then they turn around and go, oh, but you guys didn't clean up. So again, it's about the manners in which you are. No, it's just part of our service. This is what we do. Again, it takes away that opportunity for the client, should they be such that they find a reason as to why not to pay, or you need to come back. It's just about doing things and just lifting our game. We see that in rugby, where we'll have the provincial sides playing. But when we get into test rugby and that type of arena, it's just a step up. And I think that we can learn from that in terms of how do we do things better? How do we change things? What do our staff need? And that might not all be the same thing, but it's to be individual in terms of, what do we need to tweak on this individual, and how do we do this, and how do we get our whole team playing the same game? And once we do that, 80% of the battle is fought.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. Are there any other questions from someone else who wants to know something, was uncertain of anything that we spoke of?
I believe there are no other questions from the attendees, but thank you very much, Steve, and thank you very much, Linda, for this informative session. Linda, is there anything you'd like to add before I end off the session?
No, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I hope this was valuable. Yeah, let me know if you have any other questions. I'm available on WhatsApp and email, and you can call me as well.